I'm in the BakeMark Training Center today. I'd like to demonstrate some flatbread makeup using our sustainable flours. By sustainable, that means the flour is milled, grown under sustainable farming practices. I'm going to use our high gluten Stallion flour today. The reason I'm using the high gluten for our flatbreads is I want a nice chewy texture. What I'd like to show you today is some small individual flatbreads. So we're going to roll these out. This is a 6-ounce dough ball. I mixed the dough and rounded it, allowed it to relax. So these would be an individual serving size. Since it's a high gluten flour, you really should allow it to ferment and relax before you roll it out, otherwise the dough will fight you. But this dough has been sitting for about 45 minutes after we rounded it up, and it's all ready to pin out. You can see how easy it pins out even though it's a high gluten flour. This is a 15-ounce piece of dough. I'm going to stretch it out, kind of an oblong shape, punch it down. If you allow the dough to relax a little bit in between rolling it out, it won't fight you quite so much. So don't try to force the dough to do something it doesn't want to do. Just go ahead and press it out, roll it out, and then go on to the next piece. And after you finish your last piece, come back to the first piece. I've pinned out our dough, and I'd like to show you some finishing techniques, some of which you may have seen or tried. I'm going to show you also a few different toppings. A lot of the flatbreads are just finished with a little bit of olive oil. I'm going to leave this one plain right now because I mentioned using different toppings for variety. Brush it around a little bit so you have good coverage. So we're going to use a little bit of salsa in this one. Again, just kind of brush it liberally. To finish this particular flatbread, put a few green olives on it. Now take a green onion, press it kind of into place. Maybe a few red peppers. I'm going to take a Roma tomato, press it down a little bit. A few green peppers for visual appeal. So you can see what I'm doing is trying to create a lot of variety out of a very simple, basic bread. If your bakeries are not making flatbreads, might be something to consider. They're very easy to do. You can round up the dough ahead of time, keep it in the refrigerator, pull it out towards the end of your day and start assembling. These 6-ounce individual size would be good to serve with salad for dinner or to just eat by itself. I'm going to move to our 15-ounce pieces. Again, I'm going to do one with olive oil here. I'm going to use a little pesto on this one. I'm going to finish our board also with a little olive oil. For decoration, I'm going to add a couple sprigs of rosemary, kind of press it in. I'm going to cut up a Roma tomato. So press them in a little bit. The pesto product could be finished multiple different ways. I'm going to add a little bit of sliced onion and green pepper, green and red and yellow peppers. Most of us eat with our eyes, so when you're introducing new products, you want to take a few extra steps to dress them up and think about the contrast and texture you're creating. In this case, I've got black olives, green peppers. I'm going to finish this with some feta cheese, which will bake fairly white. It will brown around the edges a little bit, but it gives you a nice texture and actually a quite delicious flavor. I'm going to add a little bit of spice to this one. You could use Italian seasoning, any number of different spices. I'm going to use a little red pepper flakes. Savory is a real popular option right now. I'm also going to take a little bit of black pepper. So this one's going to be pretty flavorful between the peppers, the red peppers, and the black pepper. As a final step before we proof and bake, I'd like to suggest you take your fingertips, kind of press down into the dough after it's relaxed a little bit, and that dimples the dough. The reason I'm doing that, it's slightly visual, dimpling the dough, but the primary reason is as I compress the dough and leave some of it puffy, we have a lot different bite in different parts of this bread. So the compressed dough will have a little different texture than the fluffy dough next to it, which is part of what I'm trying to accomplish, is to give us an interesting product to eat. You can bake these in a moderate oven. Typically, something that has something like the rosemary or the green onion, I would tend to put maybe a cake pan liner or a sheet of paper over these, because the tips of this green onion will tend to burn if you don't do that. These products are now ready to proof and bake. And when I say proof, basically we're just allowing these flatbreads to soften slightly. So the fermentation process for these is probably another 10 to 15 minutes, and they should be ready for the oven. What I've tried to show you today using our sustainable flour is a couple of different representative flatbreads, but maybe give you some ideas on different ways to finish. Pesto is not very commonly used. I like it as a different look. The salsa will give you a slightly different look to your finished baked crust as well. You could use pizza sauce, but I wouldn't restrict flatbread makeup to using just olive oil. For more information on our products and recipes, please visit us at yourbakemark.com.